Welcome to Walking with Jesus Bible Study. We're going to be in the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 5. There we go. And this is Jesus speaking. And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. Verily, I say unto you, they have their just reward. And I'm going to repeat that. Sorry. And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. Verily, I say unto you, they have their reward. Our prayer life is so important. We bare our hearts openly and honestly when we converse with God through prayer. It is the most precious thing in which we strengthen our faith and our relationship with each other. Through prayer, God reveals His wisdom and He guides us to our opportunities to grow. He gives us the direction to live our lives according to His will. We must make our prayer life a priority each day. We can't just be doing it once a week, 2 times a week. We must be saying our prayers every day. You know, in the scriptures, it says when they talk about Daniel and the lion's den and Meshach and Abednego, that they prayed 3 times a day. And they knew this. Their enemies didn't. And they used that very thing against them. The scriptures are to be our guideline on what and how we're supposed to do. And if it has it multiple times in the scriptures about His people praying several times a day, then we should be praying several times a day. At least 3, especially if you're giving thanks for the food that you eat. Most people eat at least 3 times a day. You should be at least praying and giving thanks for that food. When you get up in the morning, thank Him for the protection that He provided for you throughout the night. Thank Him for fighting your battles for Him and the warfare and the battles that you don't even begin to know, that He fights daily here on earth in the spiritual realm and here. And we should just be conversing with Him just about our daily lives and what we're going through. Yes, He may see it and He knows it all, but He likes to hear us talk to Him. Tell Him all about your troubles. Tell Him about your joyous times. Go to Him before you make any big decisions and say, God, reveal to me, is this for me? Is this what you have for me? Before dating anybody, before going on a date, say, God, reveal to me. You'll know, because you're not supposed to be unequally yoked with somebody. So if you're going out on this date, have God reveal to him. If you're in a relationship with God, then that man should be in that relationship just as you are. Y'all should be equally yoked and equally paired so y'all can grow together with God. You should be asking God, is this for me? And too many people are out there begging God for a relationship and say that last one was not it, but you didn't even ask God if that was the man for you. Y'all just took it upon yourself to date and say, oh, this woman was for me. It's got to be sent for God because I was saying a prayer. And so here comes this woman, so it has to be from God. And then you wonder why you had such a horrible relationship. You got to remember that the devil can hear your prayers, especially if you're speaking them out loud. He can't hear your thoughts. So if you don't want the devil to interrupt you, then don't be saying it out loud because he cannot hear your thoughts. But if you're speaking out loud, you best believe he can hear it. And no, he's not like God where he's everywhere all the time. But he does have his familiar spirits that is attached to you, that goes back and report to him the things that you say, the things that you do. Not only do you have your guiding angel around you, but you have demonic spirits around you all the time that is spies. The enemies have spies. And that's how he tries to trick you and gets you things, and how sometimes a lot of people think that some of these things that are sent to them was from God. Then when it doesn't work out and do that, it's like, well, why, God? I thought you sent this for me. No. It was the devil sent to distract you, to keep you from what God had from you. See, if God's about to send you somebody, you best believe that the devil is going to be sending somebody to get you distracted, and that you end up being with that person instead of what God has for you. That's the devil's job. That's what he tries to do, because he doesn't want you to have the things that God has for you. He wants you to be miserable. He wants you to be in pain. He wants you to be in this life also, and then sometimes you think that it's so good that it has to be from God. But you're just living a life of sin and you just couldn't see it because you're blinded. Or you having sex before marriage, living it up so you think, oh, well, things are just going great between this person. That's because you're living in sin. The devil has you where he wants you. You're no longer abiding to God. You're no longer obeying his law. You're living in this sin. And so things seems like everything is just going great until it comes a disaster, because the truth always comes out. They end up being a narcissist. They end up being controlling, evil. And you're like, well, confused, God, why? We was doing so good. You had sent me this. You sent me this person. Because God didn't do it. The devil tricked you. So pray. Pray and ask God to reveal. See, here's the thing. The devil can try to imitate God all he wants to, but he can't do the things that God can do. God can give you signs. God can speak to you, and the devil cannot. He can spy and send things your way as a distraction and deceive you, but he can't work the miracles that God can. You see, God will reveal to you what is from him and what is not. And that's why you need to pray and ask God to give you these signs and to show you, God, is this of you? Don't let me be distracted. See, the devil's going to keep you from the very things that God has for you. And there's a lot of people out there that are sad and lonely and think that they have to have this person. And here's the thing. But you want to be used greatly by God. You can't have both things. You can't have both ways. And by that, I mean, when you want to be used greatly by God, he's going to take you and do these things. And a lot of times, it's going to keep you from the very family that you need to be. See, that's why when you're single, when God has you single, you're supposed to be drawing closer to him and doing all the things for his kingdom and for him while you're single. You don't have no distractions. That all your time and devotion is dedicated to him. See, when you have that significant other, it causes distractions. Families is a distraction. Because you have to sit there and spend most of your time doing the things for each other and for that family. So even though God does use people who are in the family and in relationships, just they're not going to be used in certain things that he has that needs to be done, that where it does not require you to have a family. Because see, most families can't handle you going here and there without them and doing this and that. It takes a toll on the family. But God always comes first. So that's why your family needs to grow with you in faith. So that if you want to have both, that then they can understand. Because they understand that God comes first. Because we all know that all the disciples were single, except for Peter. But you realize it doesn't never speak of him ever going back too much in the scriptures.